what we've seen is that our message is gaining traction with people across the state of Iowa, caucus goers who are concerned about the future of this country, who want a president who can bring us together and want to bring us together without sacrificing our values. There's a way to do that. That's been our message, and it seems to be continuing to get us more and more support as we go.
South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg is now leading the Democratic pack in Iowa. According to a new poll from the Des Moines Register and CNN, 25% of likely Iowa caucus goers say Buttigieg is their first choice, followed by Elizabeth Warren with 16% and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden with 15% apiece. Joining me now is Jason Johnson, politics editor of TheRoot.com. We have a bunch of politics to talk to. We want to start in Iowa. What's going on in Iowa? Warren is down. Bernie is flat. Biden is down. Buttigieg way up. What's going on?
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. like the idea of Mayor Pete being ahead, not by a small amount, but at 25%, only 2 or 3 months away, I am amazed. I am absolutely shocked because it's not like he's done particularly well in the media lately. I think it's an indicator that a lot of voters in Iowa, and we don't know that Iowa's necessarily indicative of how the rest of the country feels, but a lot of voters in Iowa have some serious issues about Joe Biden, who was leading there for a long time, and they also seem to find what Mayor Pete is talking about to be appealing. Whether or not he'll sustain it, we don't know, because there are lots of people who are ahead in early November who end up flaming out by the time they get there. But for now, he's winning.
The thing is that I feel like there are two sort of sets of camps in the Democratic Party. There are 1,100 of them running. You've got one camp that is the bring the country together and make things feel normal camp, which Biden was the top guy in, which Buttigieg now feels like he's the top guy in, where Cory Booker also wants to play in that camp as well. So you've got that camp. You've got the make dramatic change and fundamentally reorganize society around issues around inequality, which is basically Warren and Bernie. It feels like the side that's saying normalize and that's saying come together with the people on the other side of the aisle. That is, am I getting that wrong? That's kind of why Buttigieg is surging.
So I sort of agree. You got these two different tracks here, right? You have the liberal change and then also the anti-establishment candidates, and that's Bernie and that's Warren. That's also Tulsi. That's also Andrew Yang. They're the system's trash. Got to do something different. Anti-establishment. Don't trust the Democratic Party. And then you have the people who are like, look, we just got to change things a bit. Now, to be fair to Mayor Pete, his whole campaign has been about we can't go back to the old normal. The old normal hasn't worked. That's what he ran on. And I think that there are people who are concerned because of Joe Biden's performance. He also hasn't raised money particularly well. So Mayor Pete looks like a guy who at least represents what people want right now. My question has always been this, and we have this conversation all the time. There's a difference between being electable and being viable. Viable is you can win your party's nomination. Electable means you can win a general election. I don't know how many people really believe that a 37-year-old mayor of a town whose entire population could fit inside the Ohio State football stadium could actually go head-to-head with Donald Trump and win a presidential election.
And here's the question, I think, for Buttigieg as well. Let's just say I can see a scenario where Buttigieg holds it out and stays on top and wins Iowa. It's a very white state. It's not diverse. So this is mainly sort of a white liberal voters primary. And then you move to New Hampshire, where you have a Warren potential viability. She's regionally there. But now, of course, you have this Massachusetts mayor. I don't know if he's going to run, Massachusetts governor, former Governor Deval Patrick. We don't know how that complicates her situation. But let's say she held it out and won New Hampshire. Then you head down to the black primary. And that's where Buttigieg has no traction. This story this week that he had claimed that there was some support for his plan for African Americans.
And then he had a picture which apparently was from a Kenyan stock photo that was supposedly black people who supported him, not to mention the rumor several weeks ago about a leaked report. Look, here's the thing. To quote one of our dear friends, not a lot of Wakanda passports, in Iowa and New Hampshire. So if Mayor Pete does well there, the fact of the matter is you cannot bring together a coalition to win the presidency as a Democrat. You can't just have black support. You have to have enthusiastic African-American support. To Mayor Pete's credit, he has been trying. I don't think it's going to change very much.
And so if Biden then won that primary, then what happens? I want to really quickly, because, I could see Biden winning the third one. And then you've got a mess.
And Nevada. I think Joe Biden's probably going to win the Nevada caucus.
And so if you had Biden then start to win the primaries with more people of color, we could see a brokered convention.
Yes, we could.
I want to talk about Kamala Harris really quickly before we got, because Kamala Harris, to me, is a candidate that seems to fill all those boxes. She would be fundamental change. She's a woman of color. I cannot explain why she isn't resonating more, because the fundamentals of her still seem really good to me if you want somebody who will change the perspective of what America looks like. but not have as much change as maybe people think Warren is too much change. What do you think?
I want to point this out, and you know, all credit to Politico, whatever. I am so sick and tired of Harris obituary articles.
It's a bit much.
I mean, it's a bit much. She's still running, right?
Yes.
You don't see obituary articles for Cory Booker. You don't see obituary articles for Joe Biden, who should be raising a lot more money for being in the lead.
Right.
I believe this, and this is the thing. There have been some strategic mistakes that the Harris campaign has made. She's also suffered from the fact of the rise of Elizabeth Warren. But at the end of the day, there is always time for a comeback kid.
Right.
There's always time for somebody to do really well in debate performance.
Yeah.
Somebody else get in trouble. I don't think the Harris campaign is dead at this particular point.
And I think they've all made strategic mistakes here and there.
Yes, they have.
She's the only one that gets continually hammered. It is starting to annoy
I wonder
a lot
why.
of black
what
women.
could possibly be the case?
I got to tell you, I know a lot of black women that are getting really irritated about it. I'm just going to throw in my own editorial comment. I think the next debate, which is an MSNBC debate, I think it loses something by not having Julian Castro there. I think he's an important voice, and it's a shame.
He's an amazing voice, and it's an indicator of the fact that you've got people who can buy their ways into these debates, like Tom Steyer, but voices that have consistently been at 3 to 5% nationally can't find their way in. The DNC's got to have a different.
He's a smart candidate, and I'm going to just throw out before we go, Louisiana, Donald Trump begged for a win. He ain't get it. He's still got a Democratic governor.
Sports teams and governors, I don't know. I don't think you want Donald Trump supporting you at this point.
Yeah, he just got booed by like the electorate. Jason Johnson, boo. That's what they basically said, because he was like, please help me out. Get rid of this Democratic governor. They were like, no. More AM Joy coming up, including a visit to the impeachment alternative universe. Magic on Earth 2.